There's something about at night that just hits different. And I don't mean this in a poetic way. I mean literally. Why am I suddenly thinking about my entire childhood trauma at like 1 a.m. in the morning? Like, I was totally fine during the afternoon kind of way. Like, hello, brain, why are you clocking in? I mean, for me, I sometimes cry out of nowhere just thinking about my family. Like, I suddenly miss them so much, and then I think about all the moments I was especially cold to them just because they're my family. A few days ago, I got really sad thinking about how unconditional my parents' love is, and it made me bawl out my eyes. I literally cried so hard. Or like, when you remember that one douchebag who treated you so badly, but at night you somehow end up thinking about that one good thing he did for you, and you start wondering what he's up to now, and next thing you know, you're spying on his social accounts with your ghost account. But truth is, people, including me, get way more honest and raw and weirdly brave at night. And for the longest time, I thought that was just my personality flaw. You know, something embarrassing that only I do. But apparently not. Apparently we're falling apart after midnight all together on our bed. So I wanted to know why, like actually why. Not like, oh, humans are like this. It's just a vibe, nighttime aesthetic. I wanted science. I wanted facts. And turns out there's actually science behind it. At night, our internal filters, the ones that stop us from saying I miss you to the wrong person, or suddenly deciding that we need to move to Bali to find ourselves, those filters loosen a lot. Your brain literally stops guarding you as much because your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for judgment and self-control, gets sleepy. If my brain had a personality, I feel like the prefrontal cortex would be like the friend who tries to keep the group sober but gets tired and eventually goes like, okay, fine, text him, I don't care, whatever. Meanwhile, the emotional, introspective, dramatic parts of your brain get more active at night. So basically, the quiet hours turns your brain into a soft, vulnerable little blob that just wants to talk about its feelings, which is cute, but at the same time, very dangerous. But then, this vulnerability is actually healthy. Being honest with yourself, even if it's triggered by melatonin and exhaustion, it lets you see what's underneath all the daytime busyness. Like, that's when you process things. Like, you notice patterns, you look at emotions you've been ignoring, and even though it feels a little dramatic, there's truth in that awareness. There's truth in that rawness. It's like opening a window into yourself when the world gets quiet. But also, and this is important, you do not have to act on every nighttime feeling. I'm sorry, but no. Please do not call your ex at 2 a.m. just because your melatonin said, you know, it would be a great idea. No, melatonin is not your life coach. I feel like just like how the world has spring, summer, fall, and winter, I think we need to be able to feel the warm seasons like spring and summer, which is love. So we can treat people with more kindness and also enjoy the world a little more ourselves. And just like how we can't walk around in short sleeves during fall and winter just because we got drunk on the warmth of summer, I mean, I started to think of melatonin as kind of like warm hormones. Something that's good, but not meant for every season, every hour. This is why writing things down at night is such a lifesaver. Spill everything out, be dramatic, be messy, be vulnerable. And then in the morning, when your brain is back online and your prefrontal cortex has had its little beauty sleep, you can look at those thoughts again and decide which one were real. And mornings really do make decision making easier. You're clearer, you're calmer, your cortisol wakes you up, and your logical brain goes like, okay girl, let's see what kind of chaos you wrote last night. And sometimes you realize that your late night thoughts was actually pretty insightful. And sometimes you'll be like, what the hell was I on? Both are fine. And there are even ways to help the morning clarity. Walking in the morning, amazing. It increases blood flow and oxygen to your brain, gives you those feel-good endorphins. It tells your body, alright, the day has started. Caffeine, also amazing. We even talked about dopamine. It's the reward chemical people are addicted to apparently. Not because dopamine is bad, which is not, but because our phone gave us tiny little dopamine hits every 0.3 seconds until our brains are basically toddlers at a candy store. I mean, people think that endorphins is a wholesome fun and dopamine is the girl who gets blamed for everything she didn't actually do. Phones themselves aren't evil. It's just that too much of anything becomes a problem, I think. That's why balancing short dopamine boosts with deeper, long-lasting things like hobbies, conversations, creative work makes life feel less fried. If you've ever been on my Instagram, you probably noticed that extra tab, It's like the repost tab or whatever it's called. I have no idea what the official name is, but that thing. I save so many funny posts in there. It's basically my personal museum of an unhinged internet culture. It's just who I am. I love anything that feels human and genuinely funny. I guess you could say that I'm into humor that's related to humanity. Not the I'm better than everyone fake deep kind. It's like, all those dad jokes. I love those. Sometimes I laugh so hard I actually cry. Like full on tears. My neighbors probably think I'm either having the best time of my life or slowly losing my mind. But honestly, both are correct. And I know that there's this term going around, rage baiting. Have you heard of it? It's basically when people make content designed to poke at what makes others angry. And honestly, there's already way too much anger in this world. I open my phone to escape reality, not to enter the Hunger Game. And I feel like if you're a real comedian or a funny person, you should be able to make people laugh without tearing someone down or mixing humor with all this irritation or negativity. If your joke requires everyone to start trauma dumping in the comments, maybe it's not a joke. Maybe it's a group therapy session. So I'm kind of like a little kid again, turning my phone on the way I used to sit in front of the TV on Sunday mornings waiting for cartoons. I just want something pure and funny. And because I only watch that kind of stuff, my feed is now just 5-star buffet of dumb, wholesome, absolutely life-changing comedy. It's actually amazing. It's kind of addictive in a way that feels like educational, I guess. Like it's almost like anthropology, but for memes. And that somehow, weirdly, brings me to creativity. Because if there's one thing that becomes super obvious late at night, it's creativity. Musicians, artists, writers, so many of them work at night. And I always thought it was just some quirky artist thing to do. But turns out there's an actual reason too. The world is quieter, people aren't texting you, nobody's asking you for anything, the distractions disappear. And the brain, already in that softer, unfiltered state, just opens. Ideas flow easier, emotions feel closer, thoughts feel truer. It's like our hearts love the night and our brains love the morning. And honestly, I really believe that being able to express both negative and positive emotions without getting stuck in either one is an actual skill. And not just like a self-care Pinterest board kind of skill, but something genuinely connected to intelligence and even wisdom. Think about it. Anyone can be overly positive and ignore every problem ever. And anyone can be constantly negative and drain the life of every room they enter. But to feel both and then express them in a way that's honest, respectful, and not self-destructive, that's impressive. And it turns out there's research behind it too. Psychologists call this emotional intelligence. You've heard about this. It's called EI, which is basically the ability to notice your emotions, understand them, and regulate them without turning into a tornado of Wi-Fi. Studies show that higher EI, emotional intelligence, is linked to things like resilience, better relationships, and lower levels of burnout and stress. In other words, people who can say, yeah, today sucked, and I'm allowed to feel that. Expressing emotions isn't dramatic. It's literally neuroscience. It's kind of odd, actually. There's also this concept, expressive flexibility, which basically means knowing when to turn emotional expression up or down depending on the situation. Like crying on the subway, maybe not ideal. Crying after your favorite cookie crumbles perfectly into your oatmeal latte at home, safe space. Some research suggests that people who can adjust both positive and negative emotion expression tend to have better mental health and social functioning. Meaning, being a balanced human is statistically beneficial. Who knew? Because the world is already full of people who only react to extreme ends of emotion like rage, defensiveness, performative happiness, numbness. I don't want to be another person who can only express what's loud. I want to be someone who can say, I'm hurting, but I still see beauty. I'm happy, but I know that won't last forever. And that's okay. It feels wiser, softer, and more human. So here's your TLDR. Being able to express both positive and negative emotion is a skill. It relates to emotional intelligence and wisdom. It is backed by research, emotional intelligence, and expressive flexibility. It helps you be a better human to yourself and others. And it feels kind of like mental version of cozy Sunday cartoon morning. But this is not for everyone. Some people do their best creative work in the morning when they're fresh and shiny and mentally awake. But for those who thrive at night, it's not wrong. It's not weird. It's actually natural. Humans are just rhythmic beings. Logical when the sun is up, emotional when the sun is down, structured in the daytime, artistic at night, productive in the morning, dramatic at 2 a.m. But the thing I realized the most through this whole conversation is just how delicate and beautiful the human brain is. Like, we're not broken for feeling too much at night. We're not dramatic. We're not overthinkers. We're just wired to have moments where our heart speaks before our brain catches up. And honestly, I think that's kind of beautiful. That's what makes us us. Because those late night thoughts, they're not lies. They're not meaningless. They're not embarrassing. They're just a different version of truth. A softer truth about yourself. One that needs to be heard, but not always acted on. So it's like morning exists to filter it and night exists to reveal it. And somewhere between those two versions of ourselves, the logical daytime us and the emotional nighttime us, that's where the real us lives. And that for me is the comforting part. That's all I wanted to say today. Hope it was insightful or helpful in a way. And I'll see you again in my next podcast. Have a great day or have a great night. Bye!